Welcome to Geektionary. My name's Corey Hales, and this is the geekiest podcast you'll probably ever hear, where I will try to teach you, along with my friends, about the nerdier things in life. Let's talk about it. Stilted? No, so much less, because we're, might as well just introduce it. This is the letter U, letter 21, I believe, of the alphabet.
Sure.
Because I counted it the other day, and there's I think there's 5-6 episodes left, which is not that much. So, yeah, nearly done first season. I'm here with Rich.
Hello.
I don't remember your last name.
Pultz. Pultz.
Let's make it super easy for people to find you online.
Damn right.
Perfect.
Even though I don't use Facebook, so don't even try.
Yeah. You have an account which you've never used.
No.
You have a picture of a pony.
Yes, I do. This is forever.
Yeah.
From a comic that I can no longer find anywhere on the internet.
I hate that. Every now and then I was I remember back when the internet was when I was first really new to it, I found this amazing thing. Never find it again.
Yeah. The funny thing is, though, is it's from one of my favorite online comics, but it's a comic that they made, but has disappeared off their website, and I have no comment about it. So my guess is that it's maybe copyright infringement.
Could be,
but
because of ponies.
It was quite hilarious. I quite enjoyed it.
Because people make horrible drawings of more characters that are more, quote unquote, I guess, important or beloved than fucking ponies.
Yes.
Anyways, yes, letter U for undergrads, and I had a small problem with this simply because prior to the choosing of the topic, I already had a topic chosen, but the closer it got to the day, the less confidence I had in it. It was just unexplained phenomena, which was basically going to be an excuse for me and a friend who's been already on 2 episodes before for us to talk about creepypastas and Slenderman and stuff. But yeah, as you can see why I was starting to get a little less confident with it, and so I wanted to pick a more solid kind of topic.
Yeah.
So it came down mostly to UFOs and undergrads. I might use UFOs next season. We'll see.
That would be... It's a good topic, UFOs, for sure.
Yeah. Geeky.
Yeah.
Well, sort of geeky.
Sort of.
I guess it is, because it falls into the purview of science fiction.
Yeah, and... it brought us the major advancements in aliens and stuff like that, I guess. So
Yeah.
When it first appeared, it kind of really brought that forth, so...
Yeah. But yes, undergrads, you said earlier you used to be super obsessed with it.
Yes, I love that show.
Still do?
I still do. I have it recorded.
When was the last time you watched it?
Maybe a month ago.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Do you not find that it's not as good as you remembered?
No, I guess the major reason that I like it is it always reminds me of me and my friends.
Okay.
When we were kind of growing up. It's really weird because I was telling you before, but basically when I first started to watch the show was when I was 16.
Yeah.
I would stay up late, watch it at 1 a.m. Right after that, I'd watch Clone High. And it was kind of the point where I was this is kind of how me and my friends hang out and kind of how our personalities are.
Yeah.
And as, the show got on, I was this is what I could see us doing into high school and that. But then as I got older, it just kind of became just a favorite show. And
yeah.
It always still makes me laugh, every time. Just the characters in it, it's...
yeah. The characters in it, though, they're not... Their character traits are unique, which is a big reason why a lot of people, I think, like it, is because it's such simple archetypes.
Yeah.
I have it written down later. Get to that in a bit. First, a little history of the show. It was originally aired on MTV in 2001. Fucking almost 12 years ago.
Yeah, before YouTube.
Wow.
Wow.
This is the pre-YouTube.
Pre-YouTube age.
Yeah.
For those of you that are younger than us that don't know that, YouTube is there. By the way, we also used to have a paper $2 bill for those of you that
I have one in my wallet.
I have one as well.
Mine's turned to shit. It's not worth $2 anymore.
I actually met a child the other day who had no idea that we had $2 bills. He just assumed they were toonies. But anyway,
that reminds me when Paul McCartney performed at earlier this year, some big music thing, not the Grammys, but something actually important.
Yeah.
And Twitter was just flooded with young people saying, "Who the fuck is
Paul McCartney?"
Which,
Oh, and then you kind of go, really? We're at this generation now where this music is going to disappear?
It made me deeply sad, but at the same time, I kind of get why they wouldn't know. But then I blame their parents.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
For not sharing this type of music with these kids. Like, how do they not know?
I like the Beatles. I'm not huge into them anymore, but every now and then you're just like, I really need to listen to Yellow Submarine.
Yeah.
Specifically that song.
My favorite is going to be, I think, Helter Skelter or Guitar Gently Weeps.
Helter Skelter is generally considered to be the first metal song, that too.
Really?
Weird, interesting fact.
That. But I love it. It's a great
It's a decent song.
Yeah.
Decent song. Anyways, Undergrads.
Yes. As we go back to B.
Yeah. No.
Weird. You, Undergrads.
13 episodes.
Yes.
That's it. Only one season.
Yeah, unfortunately.
It was later. I don't know if MTV produced it and then immediately sold it to these stations, but it was later on Comedy Central in the U.S., Teletoon here in Canada, and something called Trouble in the UK.
Trouble.
Yeah. I guess they just was like a Teletoon MTV
type show.
So it was created by a dude named Pete Williams, who actually voiced three of the main characters. Nitz, Cal, and Gimpy, who we'll get to in a little bit, but let's get this down. Yeah, the main characters were Nitz, Cal, Gimpy, and Rocco.
Yes.
Nitz being the everyman, Cal the ladies' man, Gimpy the nerd, and Rocco the frat boy.
Yep.
Which, hearing that alone, you kind of understand the show. Like they're very, like, it's not that they're uninteresting characters or completely unoriginal, but once you know the archetypes, you can kind of assume a lot of things and be right. In your group of friends, I'm guessing you were Gimpy.
It was kind of a weird mix between a Gimpy and a Nitz.
Yeah,
because when
nobody ever wants to be a pure Gimpy. That's
no, and you know, like I want to be that pure Gimpy type character, but the problem is that I'm not to the point where I lock myself into a room and pee in a bucket.
Yeah, the weird social, self-imposed social exile.
Yeah, where it's like even though you are social and you have these friends and you do hang out with them, you still don't kind of leave. Almost like our friend Ben, Joe's friend Ben, who does. He's kind of the same way. He's a genius. This kid's brilliant. He can tell you everything there is to know about the NFL. But he lives at home. His house is a disaster.
Yeah.
And he doesn't care. And he lives at home. He's got it paid for. He's comfortable, but he doesn't have very many friends unless we go over and hang out with him.
Yeah.
But when he does hang out, he's great and he has a great time. And that's the weird thing about it.
That's cool. It's everyone always associates with some of these characters. Not many people will ever happily associate with either being Rocco or Gimpy. And nobody ever wants to be a full-blown Cal either, because Cal's an absolute fucking moron.
Yes.
Let's get into the characters a bit more.
So Nitz, the everyman.
The everyman is like, we don't need to describe what he was looking like before.
Yeah.
That's not important.
That's not important.
Nitz is infuriating and has no real personality other than the fact that he's easily led and apparently doesn't know who the hell he is.
Yeah, he's kind of almost like that guy that never figured out his identity, whereas like he sees his friends all are very comfortable with who they are, but he just doesn't know.
Yeah, which is fair. A lot of people do go to college with that kind of mindset.
Yeah.
They didn't have a nervous breakdown like I did in high school and then did a whole bunch of soul searching by the end of it, figuring out who I was. Like, I assume most people haven't. But yeah, I always saw high school as kind of, if you weren't completely developmentally challenged, then you usually were able to figure yourself, like, who you were in high school.
Yeah.
Clearly Nitz didn't. Because he's a broken person.
A very special person.
Yeah, like, I think the reason I find him so infuriating is simply because he's so oblivious to who he is.
Well, and I think the other thing that I think frustrates you too is a little bit about his character as well, is that this one girl that he's known since high school, named Kimmy, who he has she basically barely knows that he exists. Like, he's a guy that just is in her life. Yeah, it's like kind of like that guy that you knew in high school. Like, if you meet up with him, you're like, oh yeah, we used to hang out, but you know, I was never really good friends with you. But he's infatuated with her, in love with her. Like, the whole reason he actually ends up going to his university, you find out later on, is because of her.
This girl.
Yeah.
Which is like, okay, I in the respect of like the love from afar thing.
Yeah.
I understand that part very, very much. But like that didn't ever. I don't think anyone goes to the extent that Nitz does. Obviously, it's enhanced for dramatic
Yeah.
bullshit, but
But it makes him almost like a stalker.
he is a stalker.
He really is.
And the fact that he will do anything she doesn't even really ask, but vaguely suggests.
Yeah.
She's not doing it to be mean.
No.
She's seems to be in the show a genuinely nice, good person, even though her life is a fucking shambles.
Yeah, like she's doing so much at once. Like
Yeah,
she's
too
one of those.
much, yeah.
Yeah, she's like that highest riding, like that nerd in school that is like the number one kid in class. He's getting the best grades or whatever, but they're doing so much that you barely ever see them.
It's like an overachiever to the point where it's like they don't know what they should be like prioritizing.
Yeah.
So anyway, Nitz, one of the reasons I think Nitz works as an everyman, his room is very, very bare. He doesn't ever exit his comfort level. Like, the only thing that really defines him is his old school. That was the big old Mac, right? With the
blue
colored
back cover.
Yeah. Which I still think looked kind of cool.
Yeah.
I like the newer ones with the flat screen and all that.
Yeah. But they made him look like it was like a piece almost of art as well as a computer, whereas like the new ones are just weird.
These are deceptively heavy, though.
Yes.
Like you look at a Mac screen and you think that thing's like, what? How much is this?
Maybe an inch,
maybe an
two.
inch deep, and it's weirdly heavy.
Yes.
But
dense.
A lot of shit packed in there. One of the reasons I think Nitz works as a character, though, is for the same reason why people latched on to Twilight as much as they did. Mm-hmm. Because there is no real person in this person.
Yeah.
So people can identify themselves, project themselves onto these characters, which is a bit of TV psychology stuff. That's not, hard to understand or conceive of, but I think that stuff's kind of cool. Okay, I think that's good for Nitz.
Yeah, I think Nitz is pretty covered.
Gimpy, which is almost always everybody's second favorite.
Yeah.
Rocco and Gimpy were almost always the two characters people liked the most. Mm-hmm. Nitz kind of was there.
Yeah.
And then Cal people either fucking hated him or thought he was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, he was that kind of weird, just random character for no reason but to bring humor.
Gimpy, like we mentioned before, huge recluse, shut-in dude.
Yeah.
Massive geek, huge into Star Wars, hates Star Trek.
Yes, with a passion.
And it doesn't like we said, he does hang out with friends, but often through. I don't know if Skype existed at the time, but they had webcams.
Yeah, they had a web chat that they kept talking to each other on.
So they'd set up the computer, I guess, to face a TV screen, and they'd all watch a movie together.
Yeah.
Which. That's like what fucking Jared does.
Yeah.
Jared's a mutual friend of ours who's currently in Australia living in a tent.
Yep. And he's saving up to buy some skids so that he can put his tent above ground.
So his tent doesn't waterlogged. He's not some hardcore backpacker guy. He's just an idiot.
Yes. Who thinks he's very cultured in the ways of the world because he's now been to a different country.
Yeah, he's been to Japan, and we've gotten lectures from him.
Yes.
About Japanese culture and how we don't get it. And when we both can't wait. By we, I mean our whole group of friends. We can't wait for him to get back to see what happened, but we all already kind of know.
Yeah, he's going to be a douchebag.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't listen to this anyway.
I really
I don't think he's listened to it yet, so why this one? Yeah.
I think Gimpy, too, what I think really shocked a lot of people with Gimpy was the hating Star Trek side of it, too. Because for the first time, I think that's one of the reasons why I connected with him, too, on that level a bit with how he was and how I think people were drawn to him as a character was because every time before whenever you saw Nerd Guy, they didn't really care about whether it was Star Wars, Star Trek, and that. But really, Star Wars wasn't that big, huge in the front nerdism thing. Everybody likes Star Wars kind of thing, but I found that when I was watching TV, I was more bombarded with Trekkies than I was a Star Wars fan. You know what I mean?
The thing is I don't agree with you. I do think there's always been that animosity between Star Trek fans and Star Wars fans. And, I think it's only been more of a recent thing where people are just hey, I like both, and that's okay.
Yeah. I guess maybe back in the 70s it was more of a big deal, or 80s and that. And
Star Trek came out in the 70s.
Yeah.
And yes, so did Star Wars, and that's a good reason why they both were so animosityic.
Yeah.
It's not a word, but you know what I mean? They had so much animosity between each other because of that, because they were so close, and now it's gotten so far detached, no one really cares.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it was, what was the other point? I can't remember. You said that there wasn't ever really... Oh, yeah, the difference between Star Wars fans and Star Trek fans. The thing is if any type of nerd is going to be shown on TV, they're going to find the worst type of nerd.
Yes.
Just like whenever they show Canadians, they're either fucking French or Newfies.
Yeah.
So, if you watch American news where they have to talk to a Canadian, you can't understand them.
No, they choose, like, the worst accented Canadian.
They're like, can we understand you? No. Perfect. Get on the camera.
Yeah, if you were to play that same person on CBC, everyone across Canada would go, yeah, okay, he's a newfie.
They're like, oh, he's a newfie. Let me just get my brain into translation mode.
Yeah, click. Okay, yeah, okay. Go ahead.
I think he's talking about a car. Just This is weird for the Weather Channel, but yeah, Gimpy. The thing is, like, these characters. While that, like, since I mentioned the archetype, and they are fully thought out characters. Because they rely so heavily on that archetype, there's not a lot of depth.
No, there really isn't.
Which I didn't realize until we started talking about it, because, like, there's nothing else to say about Nitz or Gimpy. And then when we get to Rocco and Cal, the same thing, because they're extremely two-dimensional.
Yeah, there's nothing really... I mean, Rocco is, big... He's stubborn-headed. He's like that big jocked dumbass that just, he beats himself up in one episode for no reason just because he's bored. Yeah, so he starts a fight club with himself.
Yeah.
Like, he's that kind of guy where you're just kind of like, really? Like, you're this...
Yeah, his archetype would be the frat guy.
Yeah.
But he is in a frat, which he got into, I can't remember how, but in a way that
because of Gimpy. Gimpy got him into the frat because he sent his friends in there to rescue Rocco because he was afraid because Rocco was going to be a frat boy and because he's a nerd, they're mortal enemies.
Yeah.
And so one of the heartwarming things at the end of it is Rocco's like, well, Gimp, I'm still going to be your friend. I was like, oh, okay, well, so touching. But at the same time, it was kind of like a weird combination because you had the nerds getting along with the frat boys in the house, and that's why they let Rocco in, is because he brought these nerds in.
Yeah, who everyone loved.
Yeah, and
which is weird.
I think that's another thing a lot of people liked about the show is because of the movie references. Because really, when you think about that, you could kind of look at that as almost like a Revenge of the Nerds type deal, right?
I recently rewatched Revenge of the Nerds. It is a great movie. It has not aged well. Like if you watch it now, you're like, this is so fucking 80s.
Yes,
and really kind of racist at points.
Well, I mean, like...
racist and homophobic. Sexist. But it's not in a mean way.
No.
It's just what was on the movies at the time. And I'm not saying that makes it okay. I'm just saying, like...
this is how the world was viewed at that time, really, when you look at it.
And it's barely offensive, except with the Japanese character.
Yes.
That is super offensive.
Very.
But, yeah, good movie.
But yeah, like, they had bits and elements in certain episodes. Like, there's that one episode when they're playing Quake. And they're doing that training exercise, and he finds Cal in the bathroom with his joystick, and he kicks open the door, and he's like, what's your major malfunction, Cal? Yeah. And he's sitting there, and he's got his joystick in his lap, and he's like, I'm mastering my joystick, guy.
Yeah, that was like a reference to Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah. And almost every episode has, like, a weird movie reference in that weird aspect. And
it's, which the thing is like, if you take away the part that the characters aren't really well realized, they are, it's still written realistically. Like, these are the types of things these types of people would be talking about. Like, of course they've seen Full Metal Jacket. Of course they've seen Revenge of the Nerds. They were, I think the characters were, this was 2001, so I would have been...
oh shit, you're gonna ask a tough question, right?
So it's 2012. The math is hard, apparently. So, 11 years ago, I'm 20... I was 16, so you weren't 16, because I'm older than you. You were 14-ish.
I was 14.
Yeah.
14.
I just guessed at what your age was, and I'm apparently right. But yeah, it's we like people. It's the reason why Kevin Smith is popular. It's the reason Tarantino's popular is because they make references to the culture outside of the TV show or the movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Rocco, stupid frat guy. His frat doesn't like him. He's about booze and women. He's not good with women, and he gets drunk.
He's had one girlfriend his entire life.
Yeah.
And ruined that relationship because he wanted to meet more girls in college.
Yeah.
And this is like the one woman who would probably have slept with him, and he will never find another woman that will have sex with this man.
Wasn't
again.
she like super above what he deserved too? Like wasn't
Yeah,
she like
they
the
never show
perfect-
her face.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
that show. They only show the back of her head, so you
Yeah.
never actually get to see what she looks like.
Yeah. I don't. Maybe I assumed like he was shooting way above his station.
Yes.
You know? But yeah, and the thing is, his alcoholism gets to the point. I made a note that he has a hallucination fairly regularly of Bobby Whiskey, a talking liquor bottle that tells him to solve his problems through more drinking.
Yep.
Which is never a good way to. Yeah. Yeah. Cal is the ladies' man who is drooling, like making that noise all the time.
He comes off as gay.
Yeah, he does.
I look at him as very metrosexual because he kind of comes out and you look at him and you're like, he's like, hey guys, hey.
Yeah,
like he talks with that like very light voice, but at the same
Like
time
Jared.
he comes off though as a gay person just because I don't want to say that because I know we're gonna get like all these gay people going. But I'm like,
don't worry.
I don't mean it in that aspect.
No one that listens to this talks to me other than Eric, who's been on the show.
But I mean, like, you know, he just kind of he has that gay vibe about him where you kind of like, but he has so many women that he's not.
Gay, effeminate.
Yeah,
like
feminine,
he acts.
He's very in touch with women. He's very innocent.
Yeah, he's very innocent, which is bizarre.
It's like almost like he never.
He might be the best realized character because he has that weird dynamic. He's a very innocent, naive, gullible, stupid guy.
He almost comes off maybe as like maybe having like some sort of a mental handicap something.
I think he does.
And like it's almost like he never aged. Like he's still a little kid, but he loves women and he gets along with them. Has sex. He understands sex and gets along with them. But the way he articulates himself is almost like a 4-year-old child.
Yeah. He's Rocco is dumb.
Yeah.
But Cal, like you say, he clearly has some sort of mental problem. Yeah, like.
But what I think is, and again, another interesting point about the show is they never focus on it. You never really notice it.
Other than Rocco just getting mad at Cal.
Yeah, and beating the crap out of him all the time. And then that Cal beating the crap out of him.
Yeah. I think that about covers the main characters. We discussed Kimmy. We should also mention, I may have lost... Oh, shit, I did lose a note. Fuck. I had. Well,
there's Kimmy, and you also have
Jess.
Jessie.
Jessie. Yeah.
Jessie is his this other girl that Nitz finds in college, who basically becomes kind of like his first real outside of high school friend. The first person that he's really met outside of high school that's become a new friend.
Yeah.
And brings him almost. She's almost like that character that pulls Nitz out of his comfort zone. That tries to put him in a different situation where he's trying new things, and you know, because he's always complaining in the show and always like
he's a whiny little fuck.
Yeah.
Like all he does is just like, well, mainly it's just about Kimmy. It's like, oh well, I wish Kimmy would just blah 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 blah. Does all this stuff for her, and it all gets shot back in his face. But Jessie is always there. She's always been there to pick up the pieces, to help him along and all this stuff, and she has an attraction to him, which I just realized, because I mentioned, I found this out when I was doing my research. It reminded me of the one episode where they become roommates, I think?
Yeah.
And Nitz becomes attracted to her.
Because she drops her towel and...
Yeah. And she rebuffs his advances, even though she does like him.
Yeah.
Which confuses me, because at the end, she tears, in the last episode... She tears a strip off him for, like, I've been doing all this, can't you tell I fucking like you, essentially. Like, this long romantic frustration thing.
Yeah.
But then, she had a chance. Nitz was attracted to her, tried to pursue it, and then she shut him down.
But I think what it really was... Because I was thinking about that too, because I always wondered that myself. Because I always see that episode and I'm like, this doesn't make sense. But I think it was mainly because at that point, Nitz was only going out with her because he'd seen her naked. Because for the first time, he'd really seen another woman's body in the flesh. And it was his first, like, friend in school. And he didn't know how to react. Like, it was the first... And I think for her, it was... She wanted him to like her for her. Because she liked him for who he was, and he was trying so hard
to be something else.
Yeah, to be like this other thing. And she's like, no, I don't want you for that. And then I think she warmed up to him and tried to give him the advances, I think, later on, where it's kind of like, okay, let's try this now that we're more comfortable with each other, maybe.
Yeah. And that roommate episode, actually, thinking about it, that wasn't super deep into the series. I was like, there was 13 episodes, so I'm going to guess it was maybe 4 or 5.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
And, I can understand, maybe her attraction for him hadn't reached that point yet.
Yeah.
So, this has gotten weirdly in-depth.
Yes. Right into the characters.
Yeah,
There's the Dougler. He is the Dougler.
He's not an important character, though.
No, but he shows up a couple times.
And so does that Brody douchebag.
Yeah, but I think he's like there's Brody, there's Brock.
Is Brock the one that swears all the time?
Yeah. Fuck you. Like every word is.
Yeah, every other word is bleeped.
Oh,
I've been swearing already. Don't worry. Only I may swear, Richard.
I'm sorry, Corey.
Damn it.
There's a few, because we pretty much just get a general set. There is also one more major character I think he's worth mentioning. Gimpy has a little minion called Mump, or Mumph.
I think it was just Mum.
Yeah, something like that. Very, very weird name. Maybe we should research.
It's a nickname, and it's never explained. Like Nitz,
he's kind of like
Nitz is a nickname. He doesn't remember where it came from,
and he doesn't. You don't really know what Nitz's real name is. Parker. Is it really? When did they mention that?
It's mentioned in an episode. The reason I don't like having like a computer open and doing research while I'm doing the show. It's just it makes me like having the notes makes me feel like I'm a professional when in actual fact it's very, very loose and shitty.
But in all fairness, you did write notes. You have lost a couple, so
okay. This is the thing. This was an important thing. I found it. We can get back to it after. It's what the actual show was really kind of about. But what were we talking about?
We were on to different characters.
Yeah, the Dougler and all that.
Yeah, the Dougler.
Dougler is R.A., who's clearly out of touch with modern day college students.
Yeah.
And
very 70s, very
fucking hate
hippie. He comes out and he's like, the very first time you meet him, he basically tells everybody, hey, hipster cool people, you can call me the Dougler, just like my dad does. Like, he's kind of that kind of weird guy where you're just kind of like, he's a generation behind and everyone's like, you are not cool anymore.
Yeah, and the way Rich was demonstrating is the way he talks is exactly how he talks. He talks like Rob Schneider in that old SNL skit.
Yes.
Always giving people nicknames. When in actual fact, just shut the fuck up. No one likes you.
One time I opened up my Happy Meal and there were 2 toys inside.
The Dougler! Yeah, like, anyone listening to this who hasn't seen the show already dislikes this guy. He's awful.
Yes, he is one of the worst characters.
Brody, I always found irritating because I kind of associated with him because
you like movies so much, and you kind of look at him as like he's the polar opposite.
He's the bad version of me.
Yes,
yeah. Like I know movies and TV are the few things. Like I have terrible memory, but if someone's like, "Who's that guy that did that thing?" and I'll just be like, "What was the cover art like of the box?" and they're just like, "Oh, it was kind of like this." Like, "Oh, that was Angelina Jolie." It's like I know stupid. It's the only thing I can remember. Names and details about people and things I will never meet or experience, which is why I'm perfect for this show. But like this Brody guy just walking around. They'll just describe is talks about movies constantly and is often spouting trivia and personal opinions on movies.
Like, they ask him a question, he goes, they're trying to get him to become a friend, or help him on a trivia show, Nitz's.
That was a really good episode.
Yeah, and he asks Brody, he's like, they ask you questions like, who should have won an Oscar for Best Actress in 1972? And then instead of him answering him, he goes...
No, who should have, who did?
Oh, yeah, who did? And then he goes, I'll tell you who should have, and he goes into, like, You're like, no, I don't want to know that side of it, I just wanted you to answer my question.
Yeah, I see, like... With that specifically, regarding the Oscars.
Yes.
I used to think whoever I want to win never wins because nobody likes what I like and I'm special and blah, blah, blah. As I grew older and became not a moron, I'm still an idiot, but only about things that actually matter. But with movies, it's like, it doesn't matter what your opinion is, this one has been voted on and it's the winner. And even if it's not a winner, even if to be nominated as one of the best movies of the year, even just focusing on... because the Oscars are mostly just about America and Canada and all that stuff, but mostly America. And But yeah, it's you know, to be nominated out of like how many movies do you think they put out a year? Let's say just for drama, because that's always what's going to be nominated for best movie.
Oh yeah, I don't know, maybe
Like
30 odd movies. Yeah.
Yeah, 30 odd movies, and then they used to narrow it down to 5, and now it's 8.
Yeah.
That's dumb, but like even then, like that's not even a third of what came out. You know,
Yeah.
like it's an honor to be nominated, but yeah, it's I don't know. And also one thing that he does, which Rich had a party on Friday, friend of his, constantly yelling.
Yes.
Enters a room, shouts the word bitch, then leaves.
Yeah, he's like watching a movie and he's like, in this scene you can see the zipper, in this scene you can't. I watched the movie good! I watched it good! Like he's yelling in the middle of a movie and you're like, why are you doing this? Like, what's wrong with you? Slow down.
and, like, but that's another thing that Brody does, sort of. Brody will enter a room even if people know who he is and then introduce himself.
Yeah, hi everybody, I'm
Brody's here. It's like, I've known, not even just this dude, I'm not going to mention his name. Because
Gavin, whatever.
Okay, I don't know. Like, I'm fine with tearing apart Jared, but then like, oh no, can't mention Gavin's name. But yeah, it's I don't know. It that kind of behavior really strikes me as just absolutely unrepentant. It's terrible.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it takes place. It's never really specified what state. In the Wikipedia article, bad place to do research, but it's all, mostly accurate. It mentions that they think it's probably in Maine, because that's where the creator was originally from. But then they're just like, oh, but at one point, Gimpy made Mum dress up as a California Highway Patrol dude, so who knows where it could be. You know why he dressed up as a fucking California Highway Patrol dude? Because of the TV show Chips.
Yep.
Not because they were in California. That's not a fucking reason. See, that's my biggest issue with things like Wikipedia. It's filled with mostly correct information, and then some jackass will come in and put in speculation that makes no sense.
Yeah.
Anyways, the schools that it takes place are State U, that's where Nitz and Cal go to.
Yep.
Techerson Tech, that's where Gimpy goes to, and
the community college.
The community college, which
South Point Community College.
Junior community college.
Yes, South Point
it's
Junior
not even
Community
good
College.
enough to be a community college.
Yeah,
that's where Rocco
degree.
goes to.
Yeah.
They essentially take whoever. The one thing before we where was it? Okay.
I think his name is Mump. But see, here's the weird thing. It says up here Mum, and then later on in the episode, or the thing, it says Mump.
Yeah.
Mump, I think, is his nickname. Mum is his name.
Ugh.
But I don't
What a
know.
yeah,
I know.
That's terrible.
I know.
But yeah, the thing about the show, the characters are, I think, around 19. Because they just graduate high school and they all pretty much entered secondary school immediately.
Yeah.
Which I think I did. I don't remember.
Well, no, they have to be... Yeah, because they would be just under that age. Because remember, there's one episode where Rocco has the fake ID that says, I am 21, so drinking is yes. It's like, basically, he has like this cardboard piece of cardboard with his picture taped to it, and written in black lettering, he has, I am 21, so drinking is yes. And bouncers take that in. Nitz goes to the bar door and says... I would like to enter your establishment of drinking, and he gets kicked out.
But this is the thing. Have you been to a college or university or anything like that?
Yeah, well, I went to, I've been 4 years at SAIT. For 2 months.
The mechanics?
Yeah, and then I've been through University of Calgary. I've seen...
Alright, so you know the secondary school. Well, technically my high school was called itself a secondary school, but... secondary education establishment.
Yeah.
It's the typical situations depicted in the show. It includes student loans.
Yep.
Bad cafeteria food, which I went to, the one that I went to had really good food.
Yeah, SAIT was amazing.
It wasn't cheap.
No.
It's stupid expensive.
SAIT even, believe it or not, has their own like section where they train the cooks.
Yeah.
And at lunchtime, they cook food for you. Basically, it's like 5-star gourmet food for $5. Like
I can't believe it's 5-star gourmet food if they're students.
You know what I mean? They're training them to be these 5-star gourmet chefs, right? So you get the good food.
About SAIT, so far up its own ass.
Yes, it really is.
Ridiculously. I applied to a lot of schools. It's the only one that said no.
They're
So I do
very-
have a personal stake, kind of, but at the same time, even not having gone there, SAIT is the South Alberta Institute of Technology.
Southern Alberta, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like one of the big schools in Calgary, in Alberta.
Yeah.
And they are so far up their own ass. They
Oh.
constantly, they will shit on other schools, even if
Yeah.
the schools did well.
They put up posters around the city that basically guarantee you, like they basically show you their hiring rate after school is 98, I think 0.1% or something like that. They basically say like, if you come to our school, we will make sure you have a job. So it's kind of like saying to everybody like, if you come here, you're good. Like I know that a lot of it. I know that from the trade side of it.
Yeah.
They're very valued trade cards. Like, if you have a graduate degree from SAIT, you can work anywhere and they'll take you.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, but at the same time, it's like, I'm going to be graduating from Lethbridge with the same degree.
Yeah, yeah.
I went to SAIT for 4 years, but it's the same damn course.
Yeah, yeah. It's, like with SAIT, I think they take their 98 point whatever percent
Yeah.
from almost exclusively the trades. And they're
Yeah.
just like, since they do it, everyone does. 'Cause
Yeah.
my school had like a 90%, like within 1 year, people who graduate from my particular course, broadcasting, within a year, they will have a job in the industry. No.
No.
I graduated into the recession. So, and the thing is, during the last term, the teachers came up to us like, you're going to be graduating into a terrible, terrible situation. We are really sorry. Like, which kind of like, I don't feel, I'm not mad at my school because I do feel I got a good education. But
Yeah.
Anyways, other stuff that's in the thing, questioning of identity, which is
Yeah.
entirely Nitz's character.
Yes, very much so.
Fraternity rivalries, odd traditions, unpleasant RAs, the Dougler,
Yeah.
money problems, peer pressure, and the freshman 15. I did not gain the freshman 15 because
not.
yeah, you're like fucking skinny as a.
I know, like, and no matter how hard I try, I will never gain weight. Which, to a lot of people, they get mad at me and are like, blah, 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 but at the same time, it's like, but you don't understand how
Genetics.
hard I want to gain a little bit of weight. Like, literally, I'm skin and bone. I have nothing but muscle.
I can put you on a nice regimen that will make you as lumpy as me. And you. How much money do you make? Put 30% of it towards strictly candy. Okay, so we're getting near about the end of the time, so
Okay.
let's get back to
A few bits and pieces from the show.
yeah, and this actually works out well because my next bunch of notes is all just about the ending of the show.
yeah.
It aired to extremely mixed reviews,
Yeah.
which I can very much see. I do like the show,
Yeah.
not as much as I used to, but it's still, I think, a good show. It was
Yeah.
worthy of another season.
Yes, I really think so as well.
It also never attracted much of an audience, despite the cult following. You mentioned staying up till 1
Yeah.
to watch the show. That is a big reason, in my opinion, why it didn't get as much of a following as it did.
Bad time slots.
Yeah.
Actually, believe it or not, though, the weirdest thing about the show, as
Yeah.
I remember when the show got canceled and they took it off the air.
Yeah.
Back in the early days of the internet, there was actually, when you went on the websites for Undergrads and for Teletoon and all these places, wherever
Yeah.
they aired it, they had thousands of the fans emailing in saying, give us another season. Like, we want another season. Like, it was one of those shows where it's kind of like, like you said, it's got that cult following. Another show, maybe almost in a similar way, but not quite so, one that I prefer is called Invader Zim. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
It's got a very huge adult cult following.
Yeah.
It never aired in Canada, but it aired in the States on Nickelodeon. But I find that when you're in Canada, like, you can't go into a store and find it. They cannot keep it on the shelves.
No,
because so many
like the
people
giant
want it.
that they have a box set which is shaped like the house, which is
I
amazing.
have.
That to me, like, see, if you're gonna release a box set of a TV show, regardless of how many seasons, obviously it needs to be more than 2.
Yeah.
But like, they made this big fucking house. It's beautiful. Like that's the thing. If you're gonna get a box set, don't like. I prefer it if it's appropriate for the show. Put some effort into the boxing.
Like
into,
Futurama, when the Bender head that you could get and all the DVDs
yeah,
stacked in
yeah,
his brain. It's
yeah,
like,
exactly. It's brilliant. But okay, so it did bounce around when they was on Teletoon. Like, it was at 1 o'clock, then it was on at 9, then it was on at 11, and then fucking 6.
Yeah,
like
and they never showed them in order. It was always
yeah, it's like
sporadic and-
episode 5, episode 2, episode. Yeah, it was like it. I'm not saying they did it on purpose.
Yeah.
They didn't know how to market the show.
I think that...
And so they did it very poorly. I do think it shouldn't have been on at 1. It should have been on later, but not 1, you know?
I think it was kind of coming off of that weird phase of maybe almost Beavis and Butthead type shows. It was like coming off of that to try to make the adult cartoon shows and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I think it was at that point where it was still much so in the early days. I mean, when you look at it now, like you look at Adult Swim and Teletoon at night, like it's on earlier. It's on at 10 o'clock now. You know, like they've almost now they've realized that there's a better way to kind of do it and to make this stuff work. So I think this was like the early. That's what was really a bad thing about the show is it got kind of caught in an early era of adult television at the time.
Yeah, the adult cartoon thing, like when you get away from things like the old school, like fucking Fritz the Cat.
Yeah.
The thing is that I think you're right regarding the Beavis and Butthead thing. Actually, I was a little skeptical, but it was sort of a new thing. Adult Swim at that point hadn't been around for very long.
Yeah.
Like Aqua Teen Hunger Force, I think when Undergrads came out.
Yeah.
Like, Aqua Teen Hunger Force was maybe in its, 4th season. Like, not that long.
Yeah.
And since their episodes, they're 11-minute episodes, they're not even a full show, really. They could be a bit more loose with it. But, I guess it got to the point where they're just like, oh, just because they're an adult and they watch cartoons doesn't mean that they're unemployed.
Yeah.
So we should probably put it on a time that they can watch it.
Yeah.
And not pay for it the next day.
Well, exactly.
So 10 o'clock. Which, if you work the standard 9 to 5, 10 o'clock is a bit late. Mm-hmm. But, you
can still stay up and watch it. You can still
get a good old 8 hours, you know? And, so in 2006, fucking 5 years after the show came out and was canceled, a revival campaign, because the Phil, whatever his name was, Pete Williams.
Yeah, Pete Williams.
Pete plus Williams equals Phil. Pete Williams, had been, after the show was canceled, had been talking to the fans and stayed in contact with them. And in 2006, he said, hey guys, I know you all want to do this, so here's an idea. Email the shit out of Teletoon and Cartoon Network, and maybe we'll get another thing. And Teletoon did say, we will if we can find a major broadcaster that would help, that would put it out as well, because MTV dropped funding, and that's the big reason
they couldn't do it was because of the funding.
Teletoon then at one point did put forth half of the amount of money that they could get. If they could find another distributor, then they would pay the other half. Mm-hmm. And then not until in 2008, 7 years after the first season, Teletoon finally passed on making a second season. And let's say they did succeed, it would have if in the beginning of 2008 they started going into production, it would probably not come out until late 2008, early 2009.
Yeah. Which
would be still 7 or 8 years after the first season. That is a huge fucking break. You'd have to restart the entire show.
Mm-hmm. Reintroduce, maybe play the first season back on TV, then go.
Yeah.
And then as maybe a special thing as soon as it's finished, it's almost like you thought it was over, well, it's not, and then it's bam, the new season starts. You're like, what? No way.
So it would have they would have had to find a time slot for that first season. They would have had to advertise for it. It would have been a whole bunch of money for something that, because it did so poorly the first time, I think wouldn't do very well after, despite the cult following.
Yes.
They would have kept it alive. They would have gotten it on again. But it's not like Family Guy, which was canceled and brought back and canceled and brought back so many times.
I heard also rumors too that one of the major reasons why they never made the second one was as part of when they kind of approved it, the idea that they wanted to do was, instead of showing them in university, wanted to show them either after they graduated or their high school years.
That was actually a second show that was pitched by Pete Williams.
Yeah.
We got to kind of wrap it up before I go. Thank you, Rich, for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me in.
And that's been Geektionary.